Have you ever heard a song that like instantly just transports you to another world? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like totally.
That's what happened to me when I first heard 8-Bit Horror.
Oh, yeah.
The opening track from Prazosin.
Prazosin.
Which is the debut album from Phidippus.
It's such a cool track.
It's so cool.
It really pulls you in.
And like when you think about the artist behind it too.
Right.
Eric Salazar.
Eric Salazar.
The name Phidippus is inspired by jumping spiders.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you'd expect something like playful or quirky.
Yeah.
But the music is this like intricate blend of electronic sounds that feels nostalgic, but also futuristic at the same time.
It's like he's playing with those classic 8-bit sounds, but then adding this whole other layer of complexity to them.
Exactly.
You get the nostalgia, but it's also pushing the boundaries of what you think chiptune music can be.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, what was his journey like to get to this point?
Well, and it's funny because he actually started composing music at 12.
Get out of here.
I know. Can you imagine?
I mean, I was barely figuring out how to play the recorder at 12.
I know. I was like still trying to figure out how to play chopsticks on the piano.
Totally.
And to think that he was already composing whole pieces of music.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And
it's like he was destined to create these sonic landscapes.
Yeah, totally. Huh. And before he landed on the name Phidippus, he was actually making music under the alias Empty Head.
Empty Head? That's wild.
I know. Talk about a transformation.
From Empty Head to Phidippus, it's like a whole metamorphosis.
I know.
And his music has been featured on like the Travel Channel and even a Mercedes commercial.
That's amazing.
Empty Head to Mercedes. That's quite the leap.
And speaking of leaps, we can't forget about the life-altering experience that like kind of fueled this whole album, Prazosin.
You're talking about the car accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's incredible how he channeled that experience into something so creative.
Totally. It really makes you think about the power of music, right? Like to process these really difficult emotions and like to find meaning in those times that are really challenging.
It's like he built a bridge from this like personal struggle to a shared experience.
Yes. And that's what's so fascinating about this album, especially 8-Bit Horror. I think we should take a listen.
Let's do it.
It might help us unpack what we're talking about.
Totally.
Like actually hear it. Yeah. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chills, right?
Yeah.
I totally get why they call it 8-bit horror.
I know, me too.
It's like you're stepping into a haunted video game arcade.
Right.
But there's also this like really cool energy to it, you know?
It's so dynamic.
It is. And for anyone who's not familiar with chiptune music, it uses those old school 8-bit sounds that you'd hear in like classic video games, like think Pac-Man or Mario.
Yeah.
And what Phidippus does is he blends those sounds with modern electronic elements to create something that's like totally fresh and new.
It's like he took those 8-bit sounds that we all know and love and like wove them into this like tapestry of sound.
Yes.
You get the nostalgia, but it's also like pushing the boundaries of what we think chiptune music is.
And the fact that it's entirely instrumental is key here.
Right.
Because it lets you really focus on the journey he's creating through the sound.
Exactly.
It's like he's scoring a movie in your mind, but the movie is like your own imagination.
Yeah. It's so
like running wild with all these retro futuristic images.
It's exhilarating, but also a little unsettling.
Yes. In a good way, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you're on the edge of something exciting, but you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. There's this underlying tension, you know, like almost like a suspenseful movie soundtrack.
Totally.
And then those synthesized melodies, they kind of weave in and out. It's like ghosts flitting through this digital landscape.
And even though there aren't any lyrics, the music itself tells a story.
It does.
Like you can almost feel a narrative unfolding.
I know what you mean.
Like you're following a character through this 8-bit world.
It's like he's tapped into our collective memory of those old video games, but given it this kind of eerie, almost haunting twist.
And that's what's so genius about it, right?
It is.
We hear 8-bit and we think like fun and games, you know?
Exactly.
But then he adds this layer of complexity, of depth that takes us somewhere unexpected.
It's like he's saying, remember those games. Let's explore the darker corners of those worlds.
I love how you put that.
Like he's taken something familiar and then twisted it just enough to make it both comforting and unsettling.
It reminds me of those times when you'd like stay up late playing video games as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And the line between the game and reality would start to blur.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
You know.
Like you're lost in this other world.
Yeah.
But you're not sure if you want to come back.
Exactly.
It's so powerful.
It is. It's like he's captured that feeling perfectly.
He really has. And, you know, it's fascinating how a purely instrumental track can evoke such vivid imagery and emotions.
It really is. It's
incredible.
It's like 8-bit horror is a soundtrack to a story that we're all writing in our heads.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes Phidippus's music so engaging.
Totally.
He gives you the framework, the sonic landscape, but you get to fill in the blanks with your own experiences.
Absolutely. And that ties back to something we talked about earlier, Eric's experience with the car accident.
Right.
It's like he's inviting us to explore not just the dark corners of these video game worlds, but also the dark corners of our own lives.
That's deep.
It is. It's where fear and uncertainty reside.
You know, that makes me think about another track on the album, We Stand Together, that we wanted to talk about.
Great song.
It features the artist Trezon, and it has a completely different vibe from 8-bit horror.
It does.
It's still electronic, but it's more upbeat, more anthemic.
Yeah.
And this time we have lyrics to consider.
Right. And it's interesting how he goes from this like haunting, almost solitary feel of 8-bit horror to the song that's all about unity and resilience.
I know, it's like a complete 180.
It is.
But it works.
It does. And it's like he's saying, yeah, life can be scary, but we don't have to face it alone.
Totally. When I listen to We Stand Together, I get this like rush of energy.
Me too.
Like I can conquer anything.
It's so empowering.
It is. But it's not just a mindless party anthem, you know?
Right.
Trezon's vocals are so powerful. And the lyrics are all about like finding strength in community and supporting each other.
And the way Phidippus builds the music around those vocals is just brilliant.
It is.
It starts with this like pulsing beat that slowly builds and adds layers of synths and percussion until it explodes into this massive euphoric chorus.
It's chills.
It gives me chills every time.
It's like a sonic representation of people coming together.
Yes.
Like their voices blending into this powerful force.
It's just so moving.
It makes me think about all the times I've felt lost or overwhelmed in my life and how much easier it was to get through those times with the support of my friends and family.
Absolutely.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Exactly. And, you know, the fact that Eric created this album after going through this major life upheaval.
It's a car accident.
Yeah. It adds another layer of meaning to it.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not just preaching about unity, he's lived it, you know?
Right.
He knows the importance of having people in your corner when you're facing challenges.
I think that's what makes this music so relatable.
Totally.
It comes from a place of genuine experience.
It's authentic.
Yeah, it's not just about catchy beats and cool sounds.
Right.
It's about something deeper, something human.
It's about connection, you
Yes.
know? About finding solace and strength and shared experiences and knowing that we're not alone in our struggles.
It's beautiful.
And sometimes that connection comes through music.
Absolutely.
Through the way a song can articulate a feeling that we might not even be able to express ourselves.
It's like music gives us a vocabulary for our emotions.
Exactly.
And in the case of We Stand Together, it gives us a vocabulary for resilience, for hope, for the power of community.
It's like a musical reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always light to be found.
And especially when we find it together.
Exactly. And sometimes that light shines through in the most unexpected ways.
Like
Like, for example, in a song called Dummy.
Dummy. Okay, now that's a title that makes you stop and think.
Right.
It sounds almost negative,
Yeah.
but the song itself is anything but.
You see the title and you kind of brace yourself
I-
for something harsh or abrasive.
Yeah.
But then you hear Alice Indiana's vocals.
Her voice is incredible.
It's like being enveloped in a sonic hug.
Seriously, Alice Indiana's voice is something else.
It's so ethereal, so delicate. It's like she's singing from another dimension.
It really is. But it's not just her voice that makes this song special.
Oh, no.
The music is equally captivating.
I agree. It's this beautiful blend of high energy EDM with these almost melancholic undertones. And the way those synth guitar waves weave in and out, creating this shimmering texture. It's like light cutting through fog.
Well, that's a perfect description.
It is, isn't it?
It's like this juxtaposition of darkness and light,
Yes.
of vulnerability and strength.
Yes, exactly.
And those lyrics, they're so relatable.
They are.
It's about feeling lost and questioning your own worth.
Yeah.
About those moments when you feel like you're just going through the motions like a dummy.
I think we've all felt that way at some point, right?
Sure.
That feeling of being overwhelmed by life and not knowing which way to turn.
Like you're just stuck.
It's a universal experience.
It is, but it's rarely talked about.
That's true.
And that's why Dummy is such a powerful song.
Yeah.
It gives a voice to those feelings of vulnerability and self-doubt.
It's like it's saying, hey, it's okay to feel lost.
Yeah.
It's okay to not have all the answers.
And then Alice's voice comes in, and it's like this gentle reminder that even in those moments of darkness, there's still beauty to be found.
There's still hope.
There's still hope to cling to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he created this safe space within Dummy, you know, where it's okay to admit that you don't have it all figured out.
I think that's so important, especially in a world that's always telling us to like put on a brave face and, you know, pretend like we've got it all together.
Totally. It's like that moment in a movie when a character finally breaks down and lets their guard down.
Yes.
It makes them feel more human, more relatable.
Exactly. And that's what Dummy does. It reminds us that it's okay to be human, to embrace those messy, imperfect parts of ourselves.
Yeah, to embrace the dummy within.
And speaking of messy and imperfect, let's talk about the final track on Prazosin that we wanted to dive into.
Let's do it.
It's called Go to the Hospital.
Ooh, Go to the Hospital.
This one's a bit of a wild card. It's like this genre-bending fusion of rock pop and EDM.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely the most intense track on the album.
It is.
I mean, the title alone is enough to make you sit up and pay attention.
You're not wrong.
But then the music starts, and it's like this sonic roller coaster ride.
I know, right?
It's like you've got these heavy, distorted synths pounding drums, and then these moments of ethereal beauty that come out of nowhere.
And those synthesized vocals, they're almost haunting.
Yeah.
Like someone crying out for help.
It's a really interesting contrast to Alice Indiana's angelic voice in Dummy. Here, it's more raw, more visceral.
It's like tapping into this primal scream for healing.
When I first heard Go to the Hospital, I honestly thought it was literally about going to the hospital.
Me too.
Like maybe it was inspired by Eric's experience after the accident.
Yeah.
But the more I listened to it, I realized it's not that literal.
It's deeper than that.
It's more about that feeling of being broken.
Yeah.
Of needing to be put back together, whether physically or emotionally.
Exactly. It's like he's using the metaphor of a hospital to represent any kind of healing process that we might be going through in life.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could be heartbreak, loss, trauma, addiction, anything that leaves us feeling wounded and in need of repair.
And those string sounds, they add this layer of urgency to the song. Like a heartbeat racing out of control.
It's like he's capturing that feeling of panic, that sense of desperation when you know you need help, but you're not sure where to turn.
But even with that sense of panic and urgency, there's also this underlying sense of hopefulness in the song.
Totally.
It's like even in the midst of all this chaos and pain, there's this belief that healing is possible, that we can find our way back to wholeness.
I love that. And it makes you think about the journey that we've been on throughout this album.
You mean like from 8-bit horror to Dummy to go to the hospital?
Exactly. It's like it's mirroring Eric's own healing journey.
Right.
It starts with this feeling of being lost in this like dark, unfamiliar world. Then it moves into this space of vulnerability and self-acceptance.
Like in Dummy.
Right. And then finally it arrives at this place of acknowledging the need for help and finding the strength to seek it out.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. And that's why this deep dive into Prazosin has been so fascinating.
It's been a trip.
It's not just about analyzing music, you know?
Right.
It's about exploring the depths of human experience, about finding connections between sound and emotion, between art and life.
And I think we found a lot of those connections today.
I think so too. And ultimately, it's about leaving you, the listener, with something to ponder.
Food for thought.
Exactly. How has Phidippus's music resonated with you?
What emotions has it stirred within you?
How has it helped you to understand yourself and the world around you a little better?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reactions in the comments.
Or connect with us on social media.
And most importantly, go listen to Prazosin in its entirety.
Yeah, we've just scratched the surface here.
There's so much more to discover.
You can find a link to the album in the episode description.
So until next time, keep exploring the power of music.
Keep asking questions.
Keep diving deep.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
We'll catch you next time.